Welcome back to the new news on this Thursday. Today we see at the direction of President Donald Trump, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue has announced the third and final tranche of the 2019 Market Facilitation Program payments. They're aimed at assisting farmers suffering from damage due to unjustified trade retaliation by foreign nations. The payments began showing up in producers' bank accounts back on February 7th. The American Farm Bureau Federation president, Zippy Duvall, said the final tranche of MFP payments will help family farmers hold on through the uncertainty surrounding the past few years' trade situation. Well, now as we look to other headlines, there are over 50,000 livestock brands in Montana. And every 10 years, those who own a brand for cattle, horses, sheep, and bison must renew their brands with the Montana Department of Livestock. Now, even though we are just under a year away from starting the brand renewal in January 2021, the Department of Livestock wants brand owners to be aware of the process.
All brand owners will receive a notification, so I would think it's very important that if you're out there listening and you've changed addresses or anything of that nature, or your address has been updated and then you don't know whether or not we have the appropriate address, to make sure you get that corrected with us so that you do get that mail notification.
It's been 20 years since the brand renewal fee has been increased. The ranchers that make up the Board of Livestock have approved a $75 increase to make the total brand renewal cost $175.
Obviously, we're trying to plan out 10 years ahead. The cost of everything goes up. And so at our last board meeting, yes, the board did approve, looking at the financial data we presented, they decided to move forward with $175 for the brand fee, but we still do have to take that through the rulemaking process. So there will still be opportunities for the public to weigh in on that decision before it's finally enacted.
For more on the renewal process, contact the Department of Livestock. We'll be right back. Today, we see that all sheep and lamb inventory in the U.S. on January 1st totaled 5.2 million head. That's 1% lower from last year. Breeding sheep inventory came in at 3.81 million head, decreasing slightly from the 3.82 million head last year. In the marketplace, market lambs comprised 94% of the total market inventory. Shorn wool production in the U.S. during 2019 was 24 million pounds, down 2% from 2018, while the average price paid for wool sold for $1.89 per pound for a total value of $45.4 million, up 6 points from 2018. And finally today, we see that agriculture tariffs as well as non-trade barriers will be a part of pending trade discussions between the United States and the United Kingdom. Over the next year, topics of conversation between the two nations will include everything from tariffs on U.S. grains to how GMOs will be handled going forward. The UK officially broke away from the EU on January 31st, but Britain is still technically in the European Customs Union until the last day of 2020. Between now and then, the British government plans to work on trade agreements with the U.S. and the EU at the same time. The U.S. is working on separate trade talks with the EU, which is holding firm that agriculture will not be a part of those negotiations. That's all the time we have for today. We'll send it back over to the news desk.